Debbie and Nikki, welcome to Nigeria.
Thank
you.
How has your visit been so far?
I'm here as a visitor, and Debbie actually lives here, but it's been great. I've had a fantastic week. It's actually not my first time in Abuja, but it's great to be back. Really pleased to be back here. We've had a very busy week, and it's always great to come back and meet schools, and it's been fantastic.
We've done a lot of marketing this week. We've had a lot of success with going into schools, meeting families. We've had some great social media work. As Nikki said, I'm now back living here. I did live here before, and the business is really growing, with one of us being here and then the other being in London, being able to service the families that we aim to service.
Well, we've been going for 5 years now, and really the business started because Debbie was living in Nigeria previously, and I remember when she came back, we had a conversation, and she said to me, I think, having talked to Nigerian parents who want to move their children into UK schools, they're perhaps not receiving the best advice and information that they can be. A lot of parents are perhaps being directed to 2 or 3 schools, whereas actually we know there's hundreds of schools out there. So we've developed our business model really around finding the right fit for each child, and that was what was really important to us, to look at all the criteria and really put the child at the centre of this, so that we find exactly the right school for each child.
Yes, I think my years of living here previously, this is round 2 obviously, but my initial years when my children were really small and they all schooled in Nigerian primary school, was just meeting other Nigerian mums, and they were asking me, and then I was inquisitive as to know, they all seem to be mentioning the same school. There is something in it as well whereby some of them just like to follow what other people are doing, or their friends have gone to that school, and I think it's trying to slightly re-educate and slightly say, listen, your child is different from your friend's child, so don't just assume just because they've done so well in that school that your child will do well in that school. They have different attributes, different passions, and it's important for the child to have the right school, to have the right fit. And that's not just schools, that's also universities. But so this business is growing, the interest is growing, and I think our type of service is growing. Nigerians are quite used to sort of educational consultants flying in for a week, 2 weeks, do a fair, and then bring some schools out that we know many of them, and they're fantastic schools. But what we find is, why not a personal bespoke service? Why not get to know the family? And there'll be 2 or 3 children that would need to be helped and found that educational pathway over the years. Even within the same family, they may not all go to the same school. So that was really, and it has grown organically. I think along the way from starting the business as mothers ourselves, doing this for our own children, we've learned so much for ourselves actually, and also we've been able to pass that information on to parents, sort of things that they wouldn't have thought about before when they're looking for schools.
That's fantastic. I think that's what I find most intriguing about Bonoba.
It's a classic marketing dilemma question for any
it's always
small
difficult
business.
With your own business to know how to market and how to do it correctly, and we've tried many different approaches. I think I have to say most of our business is word of mouth recommendation, and that's always great, and that's what you want, I think, as a small business. You want your families to feel that you've done a great job and that they'll recommend you to their friends.
Yes.
And I think when families are with us, I think they realise and can see our approach, because we always say one size doesn't fit all. Every family is so very different, and their needs are very different, and the schools they like will not be the same as the schools their friends like. So every family comes to us with a different set of criteria. There are sometimes things that they're worried about that really they're looking to us for a solution, and I think that's what we like to feel we can do very well, that for every situation there is a solution and there is a perfect educational pathway, but it's different for each child. So I think that's the approach that we like to take.
Yes, it's allowing the families to know, as you say about solutions, but it's allowing them to know that when you look at schools, it's very confusing. I mean, and you look at this list and you look across the country, in the UK, of course, because that's what we do, and people don't know where to start. And actually, to start to have a conversation, which is why when we meet a family, it's an initial consultation. It's free. There's no obligation. They also want to work with us. Vice versa, we want to work with them, so they have to feel comfortable. So we have an initial consultation to allow them to know it's okay. We're going to give them this service if they take us, and we're sort of hand-holding along the way. We always set up our WhatsApp groups with our clients. We always they have access to us pretty much 7 days a week, out of office hours. Because if we're, obviously we were stuck somewhere in a meeting, we can't answer straight away, but 7 days a week on a WhatsApp chat.
So do you get calls in the middle of the night from around the world?
We really do.
We have had panicked calls on a Saturday evening that somebody needs a tutor for a Sunday morning. For example, that's something else we do. Whether your child is here or your child is already in the UK and they're just about to sit exams, many a time parents, want that extra support. So again, we don't just finish our service for the parents once the child starts school.
So just to be clear about what the scope of Penoba's work is, just to be clear, does that mean that you basically become parents to these children? Is it just the children that you're providing educational services to, or is it more? What do you do with families exactly?
I think it's all about getting to know the family. Of course, again, depending on the age of the child, I think if you're looking for a sixth form place or sixth form college, it's very important the child has some say in where they're going to be happy. So it's all about us working with families very closely. But we realise that actually when families work with us, occasionally there are other things they may need as well. And so we've worked with families who actually want to relocate to the UK. So it may be that they don't want their children in boarding school, that mum's going to move to the UK and be close to the children who will be in a day school. So we've done lots of placements like that as well, and that involves many other services, so helping families look for property and setting them up once they've arrived in the UK.
Which is why we're Penoba Education and Lifestyle, which was another twist, and another angle to our business to differentiate ourselves from other educational consultants, knowing that many families want that added extra. And something that we do offer, which many don't, is an academic progress service. It's our own creation, but we felt that we're not going to be guardians. They wouldn't be staying, with us in our homes. But while they're in, let's say, boarding school or even university, if they need support, academic support while they're at school, if the parents can't fly back and attend the parents' meetings, then we're there. And we can offer that service as a service. And actually, that's been a real interest to Nigerian families, because once you've placed your child in a school, you then are inundated with emails from a school. And actually, many of our families they have busy jobs, busy careers, important positions, and they really don't have time. And I think, we'd like to extend the extra service, of course, so we're a business, but also, we're allowed then, and it's quite a privilege, we're allowed to be part of their family for that journey while they're in the UK. We've worked with families all the way through school, into university, and it's fantastic to see them occasionally. We get an invite for the graduation, which we go to with pleasure, and it's lovely to see their journey. It's like having an extended family, really.
Visa and immigration matters, for example, is that something that Penoba helps with? Is that something that can sometimes present a challenge? How does that work?
We can definitely help with visas and everything that goes into relocating. We're not visa specialists ourselves, and so we have a number of people that we work with that are. So we can always help a family, no matter what the requirement is.
And sometimes it's worth paying a little fee to a visa expert or an immigration expert, because we never put our hands up to say that we can do everything.
Yes.
And if we don't know, we find somebody who can. Again, we're solving a problem. We're solution providers. Many a case we're solution providers. We've had lots of I wouldn't say strange requests, but we've had lots of different requests over the years. It's definitely a business which is growing, and it's a business which we love. And as we say to our own children, find your passion. Find your passion while you're going through school and university, because with that passion will come success. Success isn't always wrapped up in financial numbers.
So speaking about passion and speaking about growth, Panoba is not limited to the UK or to Africa, but you've also been working in countries around the world. Tell us some of those countries that you're working with and some of those experiences.
We have, yes, we have. I think we've always liked to feel that Nigeria is at the heart of our business. This is where we started, so I think we're always very passionate about Nigeria. But we've been lucky enough to work with families in the Middle East, and so that's a growing market for us. We do travel out to the Middle East a couple of times a year, as well as other countries in Africa as well, Ghana and Angola. And so the business is certainly spreading around the world. Yes.
I think where we see demand and where we are introduced or somebody reaches out to us, because we're very careful with our marketing, we're very careful with our publications and advertising. Again, a lot of it is word of mouth, a lot of it is recommendations. So where we're asked to go, we will go. If we can have the meeting where we are, it always saves us some time and travel. But I think we won't say no. As we say, we go twice a year. We go to the Middle East. We attend a family office conference in the Middle East, and that is a nice way for us to find families and service families. It's not a hard sale. It's a conversation, because actually you can't sell this service to somebody who doesn't need it. So it's really, most families who take us, there's this relief. Once they've found us, there's sort of a relief.
Yes.
And then we have a responsibility. You know, when we take on a family, and that is really, we're taking on a family and we're taking on their family, their situation, we really have to feel that we can be the ones to help them. And if we can't, we also have to be the business that says we can't help you. And if there's a specific professional needed to do something, whether it could be a university application for medicine, for example, we know the people who can really, really help to get them that place in a medical school.
Debbie, I'm going to give you the floor here. You're
me the floor.
great advocate for transparency. We are, great.
Yes, I think after living
transparency,
my husband has worked all over the world, and I think after living in Nigeria and across Africa, are we a breath of fresh air? I don't know, but actually, for us to go to bed at night and sleep well at night, transparency is key. We're not talking about $1 million deals here. We're talking about somebody's children, family's children. So therefore, with our small retainer fee that we do charge once they engage us, to explain to them how it works with schools in the UK, 95% of the time, our fees are clearly laid out with the family, so they know before they start. No surprises. It's really, really key. So transparency is key, and openness is in our terms and conditions. We're very, very clear about that. But again, I don't know anybody else who gives the sort of the 24/7 care that we do.
I think we have to appreciate, don't we, that different countries around the world, people don't necessarily work the 9 to 5, and so we can't close our office doors at 5 o'clock. For our clients, that just wouldn't work.
We've met families with all the children at the same time, with a few babies on the laps, and families are families, right? You have to take not everything is, it's not a, it's, there's no perfect picture of a family, and let's not pretend, because we have families ourselves, and actually our business we work well with our business because we have families. They are our priority, but then we find our families now growing because our clients become our families, and we like to engage with those families in that way. We're not going to be for everybody, we know that.
But I think we try to look at our business as parents. We have both got families and we've been through the process ourselves, and I think if you can put that angle on it and look at the whole searching for a school as a parent, it just gives parents that comfort factor. Yes, we have, we know about schools and we can give good advice, and we've been running our business for 5 years, but I think if you can come at it as a parent, that often will help you find the right choice as well, I think.
Debbie and Nikki, you're doing such a wonderful job. You're providing a personal service, keeping yourself accountable, and yet spreading yourself around the world. How do you manage this, being moms yourself? How do you balance?
Oh, I think we're going to have to say, the first thing we're going to have to say, go on, you say it, you better say it.
What?
We're going to have to say having wonderful, supportive husbands.
There you go.
Of course.
Yes.
wonderful,
Yes.
supportive husbands and families that have actually have supported us while we started the business.
And I think the business works quite well now because I'm based in London and Debbie's based here in Abuja. It just gives clients that nice seamless transition. They'll be meeting Debbie here perhaps for their first meetings, and then once they're coming over to look at schools, I'll be with them and showing them around. So
Taking them to schools. If
we
they want
like
that.
the fact that we're in both places, and as I say, parents get that nice seamless journey.
I think we're
So it
really
works
invested.
well, it
We're
works
invested
well.
in Nigeria. We're invested in Nigeria. I occasionally go down to Lagos, occasionally. But you know what? Abuja is a busy, bustling place with fantastic schools.
And you've lived in Abuja how many years now?
Oh goodness, in total nearly 10, but I would say it was the first 4 with all the children, and then we spent a few years back in the UK where we actually set up Panoba when we realised, well, we felt there was a gap in the market, which there definitely was, which we've now filled, and then coming back, so 2 of my 3 children are at boarding school, and my 3rd child is with me here at a fantastic prep school. So I'm happy, very, very happy, and yes, we really want Panoba to thrive and to grow here.
What's next for Panoba? What are you planning? Where can Abuja families find you? What do you have planned for Abuja?
You mean events-wise, or...?
Events-wise, programs-wise, what can we look forward to?
Well, I think engaging with local schools here is really important for us. Coming in, maybe meeting some parents if schools would like us to, PTAs, and showing, introducing parents to our services. Funnily enough, I met a mum the other day who took my card a few years ago and has just come back to me now going, I kept your card.
So you have a lot of connections in Nigeria and Abuja.
Yes, I think we do. Selective. It works both ways.
Right.
But
But
yes.
I think the key is that we having done this business for 5 years, we realise how important it is to speak to schools and to speak to parents, and to listen to what they've got to tell us. And a lot of parents are not ready to send their children to the UK at too young an age, and we totally respect that.
It's definitely changed since my
It's
my
definitely
youth.
changed,
I
yes,
was at a
it's
boarding
definitely
school that had a
changed.
lot of Nigerians in the UK, and they were there when they were very young, sort of from 6 and 7. I have to say I had a meeting a few years ago. I won't mention the name, but I did meet a chap who was sort of working at the High Commission, and he wanted me to assure him that it wasn't my business to be taking children out of Nigeria too young. And I said to him, I couldn't agree with you more. My own children, school, their formative years were in Abuja, in Nigeria, in fantastic prep school here. There is no reason necessarily to send children too young to boarding school. And again, maybe boarding school is not for that family setup. It doesn't have to be boarding, especially if the family decide that maybe one of the parents will accompany. It's very, very possible to do that today. The UK is open for business, and the UK private boarding school, independent school market welcomes. We're not sure with Brexit, of course, but I think that market is always going to thrive and survive. And it really needs to have overseas families coming in there. British boarding schools really rely on fantastic families like Nigerian families to come to the UK and to go to those schools. But the question is it the right fit for that child? That's where we come in. And I hope they can see that when they meet us.
So what kind of schools, sixth form colleges and universities have you placed children in so far and families in?
Gosh, really all sorts, I think, because we take that view that Nigerian parents like us should have access, should be able to look at the full spectrum of schools that are available. So we have really placed children in, sixth form colleges to secondary level, to actually prep level as well, boarding, to also special needs schools. So it really has varied.
So I think that's something also which is, I'm not necessarily that the area is growing, but the acceptance in Nigeria compared to when I was here before about if somebody's child has dyslexia or there's a learning difficulty, to embrace it, not to shy away from it, but it's growing. People are really having an understanding, which is so great to see. There's definite improvements in that here, but we've also been able to engage parents and say, there are mainstream boarding schools in the UK that have specialist units that can support your son and daughter, and we've had great success with that. So that's really nice to see, But we're also engaging with schools here with regards, and government schools. There's no business in the world that doesn't and shouldn't be giving back. So we are at the moment sort of in conversations with one or two governors, and we're trying to reach out to those states with those state government schools to see if there's something that we can't do together to reach out and support at government level. Nikki's husband is Nigerian, Sapoba. And actually then when we saw the actual name, we were like, oh, Pan, Oba. And then we realised that Oba was king.
Yes.
So we thought it worked quite nicely. But obviously we're not just in Nigeria though, so everybody else just has to have the name. But in Nigeria actually we've had a lot of starting conversations about who we are and where our name's from, which is always nice.
It does have a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It does,
It does.
Yeah, it's a lovely name. So tell me about the conversations that you've had being in Nigeria in the educational communities, with school leaders, school consultants. How has that been?
Hang on, we should turn this around. Because the fact that we know Victoria is because of your wonderful organisation.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Schools Medic Consultant and Schools Symposium, which I was involved in the inaugural Schools Symposium in July, which I just think is a fantastic opportunity for parents to come together under one roof and meet all the Abuja schools. So actually now every time that we go into a school in Abuja and we talk to schools, we're like, have you heard of Schools Symposium? Do you know Victoria? So I know you're interviewing us, but actually I should say that working together with different organisations in education like yours, I think is a fantastic opportunity for school owners, school leaders, and helping parents. Schools are fantastic in Abuja, but people don't always know the schools that are available, the choices that are available. If it's me that has to bring that to light, so be it. In London, there's we've been there several times. Every year they run an international school show. And I think when I saw yours in action, it reminded me of that. It's a matter of schools working together and trusting each other and supporting each other.
That's right.
To turn up and not to be worried about, I don't want them to know my competition. It's nothing to do with competition. It's to do with supporting each other, because every school is not right for every child.
That's right.
Not just in the UK, but also in Nigeria. So your vision, I think, is fantastic.
Well, thank you, Debbie. That's very kind of you. I must say, listening to you and Nikki talk about Panoba, empowering parents, empowering families with the opportunity to make the right choices, tailor fit for them, it's almost like listening to myself speak. It's all about empowering parents, empowering families, and raising educational standards. So I think in that, Panoba and School Medics, certainly with the School Symposium, are definitely alike, and I hope we will continue to work together.
No,
in the
absolutely,
future.
absolutely. And I know that you have mentioned to me off the record that you will be doing not just for schools but also for universities. Is that right?
That is right.
Well, we'd love to be involved in that as well, because we've had a huge increase in parents asking us to also help them when their children have finished WIAC, that they go to the UK maybe for a foundation year. But the age is sometimes a little bit of a problem. You know, they're 16, maybe 17, and it's 1 year foundation, which we've done a lot of, 1 year foundation programs to get into university. So again, give us a call. We'll be right there at your symposium. We'll be taking a table. We'll take a big stand.
Fantastic. We'll look forward to even partnering come February for the School Symposium.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Please.
Debbie and Nikki, it's been such a pleasure to have you both. You're fantastic visionaries in this education space in Abuja, in Nigeria. It's been really wonderful to have you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. Thank you. Thanks.
Blue skies, leave no way when I go outside. Sunshine.